Hello, and you're listening to The Book Was Better, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I'm Luke.
I'm Xavier.
And this week we're talking about Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Hey you, put down the popcorn and turn off the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand. Trust me, the book was better.
Holy crap, it is the most wonderful time of the year. It's around again, and what an early present in the form of Xavier. Been a while, my friend.
Yeah, it's been a really long time, but I thought, it's the silly season, a time to come out of the fireplace and come back onto the show that I love so much. We tried to record an episode before, and something came. I can't remember what happened. I think my internet broke.
I think you had internet problems. Yeah, it was. I can't even remember what it was. I think Suzanne jumped in at the last minute. I definitely
remember because I was forced to read the novelization of Pacific Rim for what turned out to be no reason at all.
Now that is adding insult to injury. That's the worst possible thing. That's my perspective. Like, if I read the book and then someone's unavailable, I'm like, I can't waste reading a novel. I've got to go. Because,
you did the right thing.
But yes, I'm glad you're out of the fireplace, covered in soot.
And
nobody
tinsel.
be offended. It's just soot. It's just tinsel. And yeah. Get out of there early because nobody wants a pair of big black galoshes clomping them on their head.
That's right. Plus, I got to get that kiss from Mommy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm here to collect. It's not all about delivering presents, Luke.
Have you got mistletoe out there hanging around?
Yeah, a little bit. It's popping up. Sorry.
December 1st, I bring out the mistletoe belt buckle.
Yeah. Well, I like to wear it as often as I can. There's no reason it should just be Christmas related.
I know. God damn. I think like the people on my bus coming home from work today, they were tapping their watches at the kiss I was having with the bus driver. But that's it. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's full of ding-a-ling-ins and ring-a-ling-ins and
you bet.
Bells, all that sort of stuff. Now, this is such a treat because you, of course, have your own very successful podcast, Something Joystick.
I know about that.
Hugely successful. Unlike some of the amateurs that I normally have on here, a lot of fame-hungry, parasitic, no talents. But you're the real deal.
Oh, yeah, not like me,
We are going to knock this one out of the park because it's Home Alone 2, a Christmas classic.
A Christmas miracle, I believe.
A miracle that the same shit happened to the same kid twice.
It is bizarre. It is truly bizarre, and it would be wrong not to point it out right off the bat. It's almost a note-for-note sort of retread of the original.
It really is, yes. Every joke is repeated because it was so successful the first time. Because it did dethrone Ghostbusters as the most successful comedy ever at the time.
Is that right?
I believe so. The first one, not this one.
And then Avatar came along and changed the game forever.
Avatar is the best comedy.
One of the funniest movies.
It is hilarious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sigourney Weaver, what a talent.
What a joke.
And so Home Alone 2, it is the sequel. We've never covered Home Alone on the podcast. I think I've done Home Alone 3.
Right, okay. If people want a quick recap, listen to this episode and you'll know what happens in the first movie.
Just forget about New York. If you forget about all the buildings and just imagine it's home.
It's suburban Chicago.
There are a lot of Home Alone movies. This is actually Macaulay Culkin's final film. This is the last Home Alone film with Kevin McAllister in it.
And what a mic drop it is. You know, once he completed his work on this project, he was like, I really don't see how much further they could go. Like, he really nailed everything about the character that he wanted to bring out. And I admire that. I think that's brave for an actor.
Well, let's be honest. A lot of this film, a lot of this book relies on zero technology. Like, technology does not exist in this world. And that's what makes the situation an interesting one. Because I think there's only a certain thing. Like if it's December now, and if we were about to go to the cinema to see like Home Alone 8 starring Macaulay Culkin, or even anybody, even like any kid.
Imagine though Macaulay Culkin in a new one of these. That'd be interesting. Like, have you kept up with his career at all?
Oh yeah, he's like a skeleton now, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a professional skeleton who plays Lou Reed covers.
He gets a lot of work at hay rides. At Halloween,
yeah, that's right.
He gets to jump out of the hay and go booga 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 booga.
Uh-huh. Most of his work comes 1 month of the year, and then he just kind of takes 11 months off.
He does his trademark scream with the hands to his face, except now he looks like the painting the scream. Very cool. But yeah, nowadays, like you leave a kid home alone, it's going to be Call of Duty and masturbating.
They probably won't notice you've left for about 3 or 4 days.
No, absolutely not. So, have you ever been left home alone, just as a sort of starting discussion point?
That's a good question, and one I don't really have a great answer to. I can't really think of it. I had the most horribly responsible parents you can imagine. It was awful. A childhood of leisure and luxury.
Wow.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Mine actually went to London for about 3 months when I was in late high school.
Right.
And left me home alone.
Really?
Yeah, which was...
It was on purpose, though. It wasn't like in these movies.
It wasn't an accident. No, alarm incident or anything like that. No, me, I hadn't misbehaved and been sent up to the attic the night before.
Yeah. You hadn't wished that they would leave you alone like in the first movie.
Yeah, no, they just... I don't think they wanted to pay for me to go on the trip, for starters.
Okay.
And I was in school. I might have even been in year 12. So they gave me money to buy food, and it was more money than I needed. So I was able to, like, write my own absentee notes and, like, just go into the city and watch movies and buy comics and stuff.
That sounds like that could have been quite a formative time for you then.
It was kind of interesting, I think, because my parents were about as sociable as Batman. So there were no, like, we're friends with your friend's parents, or we've got any friends that we can sort of... have supervise you. So yeah, I just got to do my own thing. We had some girls at school came around, cooked us pasta, we drank red wine. It was interesting. It was an interesting time. But
I'm interested.
Yeah, so I can relate, is what I'm saying, to this situation. I've been home alone. I've done the hard yards.
Well, I mean, I'm home alone right now. I live in I live in a share house, and everyone's out, so
I'm home alone now too.
Yeah,
Suzanne's not back from work yet.
Struggle. There you go.
And look, and if people haven't realised, you're in Sydney, I'm in Perth, where we're not in the same room together. This is a Skype cast.
That's true. Normally when you record this podcast, you would be not home alone in any
Never
way.
alone.
Yeah. But yeah, both of us are, in fact, just all in our lonesome.
Speak about Christmas miracles. That's a whole slab of them right there. So this book is by A.L. Singer, which is an alias of Peter Larangus. Now, we figured this out back when Leah and I read Babysitter's Club, because I think he was afraid of having his masculinity challenged. So A.L. Singer was born. He also wrote Bingo, which is a movie I haven't seen, which is about a circus dog who escapes, and the top billing actor in it is Shirley from Laverne and Shirley.
Right. My favorite circus attraction is the dog. It's just like a little chihuahua who will bark when you say speak.
When you live in the big smoke, it's very rare you get the opportunity to see a dog. So if someone brings one around in a tent, I'm always there lining up for a ticket.
Sure.
So let's read the beginning. And this is interesting. It differs from the movie here because we get a little bit of a prologue, which sort of takes place during the first movie, kind of. Kevin McAllister.
That was the kid's name. There he was, smirking out the living room window and waving. He was actually waving.
Harry Lime felt his blood boil. He squirmed in the back seat of the police car, pulling at his handcuffs. His partner, Marv Merchants, just stared dumbly out the window. As the car backed out of the McAllister driveway, both men lurched forward in their seat.
"We got him, Chief," the policeman said into his radio. "Yep, the wet bandits. And you won't believe this, but it was a little kid who caught him."
So yes, let's have a sequel told from the perspective of the murderous criminals who are intent on killing this smug kid.
Yeah, and it starts in prison, and it doesn't leave there for, what do you think, 10, 20 years?
It doesn't let up. Yeah. Well, there's your sequel. Christ.
Totally, yeah.
These guys finally get out, and they go and track down a skeleton.
Yeah.
And they have a flashlight and an easily spooked dog.
Who's been in the circus.
Yes. The crooks in this, they escape from the backseat of the car and they head back into the house to kill Kevin, who is just beginning the arduous task of cleaning up all of his crippling traps. Something we never get to see in the film is the cleanup.
I've often wondered about that, actually, is like disarming those things. There must be other ones that didn't go off and stuff like that. It must be really dangerous.
The crooks were going to steal like $300 worth of stuff. Kevin destroys about $40,000 worth of stuff, fending them off.
And permanently cripples them, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely. But as they reinvade, he's got more traps up his sleeve.
He flicked on the switch and the garage door began to roll upward, with Harry on it.
Okay, we won't alternate anymore. We'll just do bits.
Whoa! Harry cried, his fingers caught in the hole. The door lifted him straight up and into the garage. When it stopped, Kevin could see Harry lying flat on top of it.
His internal organs leaking all over the floor. It was like that Rose McGowan scene in Scream.
Yeah, that's right. The next bit. Sorry, I'm stepping all over this.
Oh, don't. Well, look, this is the thing about Skype. We're not actually looking at each other this time because we wanted the feeling of being alone.
I'm looking at my poster wall that I have up of you in my room.
Yeah.
But it doesn't provide nearly the same level of, connection.
I'm looking at pictures of you I drew in my diary this morning.
Oh, that's sweet.
Lots of little hearts around them.
Oh.
I said too much. But, yeah, so we might be a bit clumsy with this aspect. He tied one end of a long rope to the mannequin's neck and the other end to the starter of the lawnmower. Below, he could hear Marv rummaging around in the garage. Wasting no time, Kevin tied another rope from the lawnmower to the release lever of the pitching machine. Then he pulled an old lawn chair and sat down to watch the show. Kevin McAllister, the Rube Goldberg of grievous bodily harm.
It is sadistic, isn't it? It's the kind of thing you'd expect from like the Jigsaw Killer or something like that.
The chair to sit and watch the carnage is my favourite part.
Yeah, it's like incredibly personal for him and he finds it very gratifying.
And he was ready to clean up. And look how he improvises. He sets all this up while they're trying to get through a door, essentially.
Yeah, he drops his squeegee and his Windex, gets to work, doing what he does best.
Harry, convinced his back is broken, gets his face crushed in by a dumbbell, which slides down a gutter pipe. And then we turn the page and we get the big title page of our sequel, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And this is kind of the real beginning, sort of.
Ah! Harry bolted upright. His bedsheet was soaked with sweat. The hallway light shone weakly through his prison bars, casting black stripes across the cell. He blinked once, twice. I was dreaming, he said to himself. The reality came flooding back. He and Marv hadn't escaped the police car. They'd gone to jail. So
this is a scene that is not in the film. That's all new from the Crook's perspective, setting up their bloodthirsty desire for revenge.
I think that's pretty effective.
They are going to murder the shit out of this 10-year-old kid. I'm hooked. It's a year later, suddenly, and it's 3 days before Christmas. And believe it or not, it is chaos in the McAllister house.
It's very uncharacteristic of their house full of approximately 150 people, I think.
I know, the McAllisters like to fuck.
They sure do. They must be Catholic, I guess.
I'd say so.
In the McAllister house, every creature was stirring. Every creature, that is, except for Kevin. Upstairs, Kevin was taking a break. He stretched himself out on his parents' bed and tuned out.
Wow, he thought, this is where my parents have sex.
It's like smelling the sheets.
Yeah, what a place to unwind.
Yeah, that's right. Shouldn't he have a bed in his house, you think? Like one of his own?
And what a funny twist on an old classic, right? Every creature was stirring. The
yeah.
A.L. Singer.
Take that, classic literature.
Intertextuality. And look, Kevin is pissed off. He's pissed off about tomorrow's family trip to Florida because it's Christmas. He wants snow and he wants a big old real pine tree for Christmas. Also...
While everyone else was going nuts, he had plenty of time to test his new Talk Boy. There was no end to what you could do with it. For instance, you could record family members saying stupid things, then play it back later to embarrass them.
Can you imagine that? A Talk Boy. Imagine having the technology in your hand to be able to record what you were saying and share it with other people.
God, yeah, these sci-fi movies really set you off on a bit of a dreaming, like imagining that kind of a world.
How old were you when this movie came out, roundabouts?
This movie came out in 1992. I believe I was born in 1992.
Okay, so you were a newborn baby.
Yeah.
So you probably, weren't part of the talk boy craze that was gripping the globe.
No, I guess I missed it. Although obviously I've heard and read much about it. How people queuing up around the block to get their son or daughter a talk boy for Christmas and that sort of thing.
There's no photos of you with a baby's first talk boy?
No, I guess not. I went straight up into expensive podcasting equipment. That was where I started. Yeah.
It's a natural progression. You can imagine Kevin McAllister's Talk Boy show, where he's like, "Hey, you're listening to Kevin McAllister on Talk Boy. This is the show where I record family members saying stupid things. Here's my sister having a fart." More after the break. And,
he has advertisers. He's got sponsors on his Talk Boy show.
Bonobos.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What's Lisa mattresses or whatever?
Yes, absolutely. And look, this is totally relevant to the discussion. Something that struck me, because I was watching the film while reading the book. I think Kevin's mum's kind of hot. Sure,
yeah. It's kind of weird for me to say because I was a newborn when she was in this movie, but, yeah,
I think she's got the short red hair. I think she's a bit of a firecracker.
Sure, yeah. What's the actress's name? Do you remember?
Oh, is it like Diane Weiss?
I'm just saying this so that you get lots of annoying listener mail next week.
Yeah, I'll be happy to have any listener mail next week. Yeah, no,
Catherine
I think she's kind of hot.
O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara, yes. No, Diane Weiss isn't hot. Take that one back. Yeah, Catherine O'Hara, back in the day, like in Beetlejuice and stuff, and in this.
Sure.
She's got that like look in her eyes, like that there's a party going on in there.
Well, a small amount of Googling tells me she was in a movie called A Mighty Wind, so I'm on board.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm easy to please.
Yes. She sounds she's pretty great in this. I just wanted to put that out there that Kevin's mom has got it going on.
That's right.
And look, the talk boy looks pretty good compared to what Grandma bought Kevin for Christmas.
Kevin's mom pulled a small plastic container out of the suitcase. Bongo the Clown, its label said. It's an inflatable clown to play with in the pool.
It lies on its back and you ride its lap. Kids love it.
That's right. I do actually really like this because it does set up the Bongo the Clown, which basically appears out of nowhere in the movie. But
we'll talk about Chekhov's clown.
That's right.
He records
like in Poltergeist.
Yes. He records the reservation number for a hotel that he hears while watching a show which is called Celebrity Ding Dang Dong. Now, do you have any theories on what might happen on a show called Celebrity Ding Dang Dong?
Well, I would say it probably takes the well-known and well-loved Ding Dang Dong formula that we all remember, but adds in a dose of celebrity shenanigans.
So some celebrity at some point is going to get out his dang dong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I love it.
It'll go ding.
It's going to ring a bell with it.
Yeah. Oh, man, I would watch that.
Someone blindfolded is sitting at a reception desk with a little bell on it, and a celebrity comes out and pulls out their dang dong and dings the bell, and then you have to guess which celebrity it is.
Just by the specific timbre that it makes on that bell.
Yeah, you'd be like...
Well, this is probably a medium to large penis. So,
I've seen Shame. Is it Michael Fassbender?
Correct. I don't know how he booked him, but he's on the show.
And Kevin's dad is really the guilty party here. He's the one who disconnects the alarm clock by mistake and basically sets off this whole horrible, neglectful mess. He's kind of like the Corey Feldman in Gremlins that gets Gizmo wet. You know,
That's right,
It starts with him.
Very simple instructions to this alarm clock that he broke. It's around this point that you already start, like, the cracks start showing, like, why the family going on a vacation the year after the last film happens. Surely you would think maybe for Christmas this year we're going to keep it small scale, just in case there's any kind of alarm clock problems.
Or we're going to stay home tethered to each other.
Yeah, well, you've got like 300 people in this house, but only one alarm clock.
And speaking of which, 300 people, one of them is Uncle Frank, who is singing Cool Jerk in the shower. Which I guess is a great reflection of what he might be doing in there. Yep. And then Kevin records him, but Frank yells,
"Hey, get out of here, you nosy little creep, or I'll come out there and slap you silly."
With his dang dong.
Celebrity ding-dong.
And in the film, though, he says pervert. So despite this thing being an adult size, 200 plus pages, we're definitely getting a cleaned up version. I noticed in the film as well, Kevin said he's tired of getting crapped on, which he doesn't say in the book. But first, they go to the school Christmas pageant. And while Kevin sings this high-pitched solo, his brother Buzz, now Buzz was the bully with the spider from the first one.
Who I think might be in the Mighty Ducks?
He's very familiar. Well, I'm sure he must be doing stuff as an adult that I've seen him in.
Yeah.
But he lights up Kevin's gigantic Dumbo-esque ears with 2 candles. And Kevin goes absolutely apeshit.
There was Buzz, the king of geeks, the meister of dorkmeisters. One small step up from a bilge rat, one giant step below a warthog. Is that more intertextuality, by the way? Neil Armstrong, sort of?
Yeah, I think so.
And he was holding those candles, grinning at the audience as if he were a movie star. Wink to camera. He's in a movie. Kevin reared back and socked him in the stomach.
Always a violent solution with Kevin. His parents have not brought him up well at all.
It's almost as though his parents were really distracted by the 298 other people that were in his home growing up.
I think his dad's just really distracted at what a firecracker his mum is.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just total fist flying straight away. I guess at least he didn't smash his face in with a full paint can this time. So
probably looked around for props and didn't really find anything.
If only the set crew hadn't been so diligent.
That's right.
Buzz does call Kevin in the book a little trout sniffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the worst people are the ones who are finding fish and smelling it, I guess.
Sniffing them, yeah. Weird one.
Seeing maybe if it's in the fridge, seeing if it's gone off or something. I'm not sure. There's some history here.
There's probably some truth to the insult, as there is usually. And again, Kevin is sent to the attic as punishment, the exact same thing that happened last year, but his mother decides, I'm going to tempt fate once again. She even says, he's like, oh, I wish I wasn't with you guys. And she goes, well, you got your wish last time. Maybe you'll get it again. Maybe the exact same thing will happen.
There's so much of that, like, lampshading, like, we know the exact same thing is happening. You know the exact same thing is happening. So all the characters do as well. Deal with it. I guess
that's the problem with these kind of movies. It's like Jurassic Park, though, isn't it? Like, it has to happen. Like,
exactly.
It seems ridiculous that it would happen, but it has to happen. It's like a friend at work. She's saying that her boyfriend, when they're watching Walking Dead, is like, yeah, I don't know. Like, if it was such a big thing and surely the world would have figured it out by now and they would have stopped the infection and they would have sorted it all out. But then then you're not watching Walking Dead anymore.
Yeah, then the show's done.
Yeah, you go like, that show does exist where they sorted it all out. And it's called Friends. They all drink coffee at Central Perk. Everything's great. Like, watch that show.
They hardly ever mention the zombie problem they used to be experiencing.
They totally have dealt with it. It's fine. Look, speaking of... For a moment, a crumpled page of that day's newspaper smacked against the front door. It flipped open to a 2-column headline. Garfield hates wet bandits escape during prison riot. Then, as fast as it came, it flew away into the night. So, trouble is a-brewing. Those wet bandits.
That's right. Sentient newspapers are attacking suburban Chicago.
And, of course, when the morning arrives...
Mr. and Mrs. McAllister sat bolt upright in their bed. Their eyes went straight to the clock. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. They leapt out of bed, their faces frozen in disbelief.
We did it again!
They shrieked at the same time.
So,
with a slight Skype delay, I believe.
Yes, possibly. So everyone goes all Benny Hill, running around in fast motion. Unfortunately, Kevin's mum doesn't end up like getting stripped down to a bra or anything while they're doing the Benny Hill thing.
Could have happened.
The entire film could have been solved with iPhones. Let's be honest. Yes, you can solve all of these problems. Kevin does get to the airport with them, though. But he dawdles as they run for the flight because he desperately wants batteries for his talk boy. He's got a show to produce.
His sponsors aren't going to accept any excuses.
Do you think Lisa Mattresses are giving him the big bucks to be a day late?
To just sit around and sleep all day?
That's how comfortable their mattresses are, I've heard.
Well, yeah.
It's organic advertising. He takes his dad's bag, but then he ends up on the wrong flight. And this is pre-9/11, so they let him onto the flight without a boarding pass. I think post-9/11... he would have had his talk boy seized, and they would have waterboarded him for at least an hour.
Yeah, that's right. It's very free. Like, it's down to the discretion of one air hostess who's just like, oh yeah, just look for your family. Oh, that looks like him down there. Go take a seat. We'll bring some booze out for you in just a minute.
Every adult is incredibly neglectful in this film.
Yeah.
Kevin pointed to the window over his shoulder. What city is that back there? New York, the woman said. Kevin's jaw dropped. Yikes, he said under his breath. I did it again! And now, not only is he going to have to contend with wet bandits, there's going to be Ninja Turtles, Cloverfields, Lokis, the whole thing.
Yeah, Frank Sinatra's, Broad Cities.
The Broad Cities.
The whole...
Look out for that Alana, Kevin. You're in for some trouble.
There's so many great crossover ideas that they've ignored here.
He gets adopted by the Broad City girls. I would love that.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
What would they do with him? Anyway, we'll leave that for a speculative episode in the future.
Fan fiction.
New York, it seems so far away. A place you only saw on TV. The Big Apple, the city that never sleeps. Skyscrapers, Radio City Music Hall, the biggest Christmas tree in the world, humongous stores, other cliches that this writer can list to fill up pages. There it was, rising in the distance like the Emerald City, only dull grey.
And trash-strewn. And full of hobos and reeking of shit. So it's kind of like an Emerald City where an unsuspecting country girl and a little dog would be discovered naked in a dumpster the next day.
That's right. People trying to steal her shoes. I guess that did happen.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe she was in New York all
not
along.
So different. Yeah.
There's a point. Finally, in Florida, though, Kevin's mom realizes...
She froze. Her face became taut with panic. Memories of last year came racing back. Just a great Thanksgiving dinner. She got a new promotion at work.
Yes.
But then suddenly she realizes, Kevin! She screams.
So, yep, second verse, same as the first. Kevin, however, he's thinking New York is great. He's not worried about this at all. He even goes to visit the World Trade Center, no doubt, to start planning his elaborate trap-filled plot to take them down.
That's right. Yeah, he really is all alone on the roof of one of those towers, which is so weird. Like, I don't know too much about. I was young when it happened, but I don't know how much they were allowing people to go up there. But if tourists were allowed there, like, what the hell did Kevin do to all the other tourists? He's like totally on his own. It's very strange.
Don't forget, like, a French guy was able to go up there and like send a tightrope between the two of them and walk across without getting stopped. Yeah. So security was pretty lax. I think he's in the background.
Okay, yeah, maybe I wasn't looking hard enough.
By the way, the wet bandits are now the sticky bandits.
That's right. They've had a rebrand. They thought wet bandits didn't sound gross enough.
They let themselves air dry.
Yeah, it does happen, doesn't it?
And Kevin sees his first hobo.
Formative rite of passage in any young man's life. I noticed the writer uses the word it instead of he or she. It looked like a scarecrow with its arms straight out.
Is an Emerald City?
Yeah, but it was alive. He couldn't be sure, but it seemed to be an old woman. Pigeons rested along every inch of her arms. They covered her head and shoulders, the shampoo, stuck out of her ragged coat pockets, hung from her shirt. Sick was all Kevin could say. The lady was giving him the creeps. She was like something from a horror movie.
Began to fantasize about smashing her face in with a paint can. Looking for the nearest paint store. But yeah, instead of going to the police and like putting his poor parents at rest, Kevin uses the talk boy to check himself into the Plaza Hotel, where he is basically just going to go crazy with his dad's credit card. And he easily outsmarts the woman at the desk, so nobody has any policies or procedures in place. And every American he interacts with is dumb enough to be manipulated by a 10-year-old boy. Except...
including, can I just drop in and say, including a cameo from none other than Donald Trump.
Now, I miss this. Explain what happened here.
It's about one sentence. He's asking for directions in the lobby, and the man that he stops is none other than next year's president, Donald Trump. He just points him to the elevators and then looks at the camera for a sec. That's it.
And that's who we want to be our president? Someone who's going to let a small child who has already been scoping the World Trade Center, going to let him unaccompanied into a hotel?
And to go on the elevator when we've got an obesity epidemic.
Yes. They probably have some obesity academics.
That's probably true. Statistically
at Hamburger University.
Yeah.
Behind him, the check-in clerk exchanged, which is Rob Schneider, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
exchanged a glance with a tall, middle-aged man who was sitting across the lobby at a station marked concierge. He nodded as if to say, yes, I saw it too. Both of them smelled something funny.
What was that smell? It's none other than Tim Curry.
It was Tim's curry.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of fresh spices.
Yeah.
I found out Tim Curry reads the audiobook as well of the novelization.
Tim Curry, I reckon, doesn't say no often.
No, maybe not. But, he's an interesting dude.
He is. And Kevin is basically wearing a robe. He's hitting on the hotties at the pool. He's totally Hugh Hefnering it up.
That's right.
I don't know what I would do as a 10-year-old lost in New York.
Yeah, what's good there? We already talked about all the fictional things to do. There's a great stand-up comedy and improv scene there. If I was 10 years old, I don't really know. Yeah, I'd probably cry. I'd probably be killed quite quickly.
Go fetal and, yes, be taken in by a Fagin-like figure.
Yeah, that's right.
And never seen again.
In essence, do exactly what I do here in Sydney.
That's right. I mean, is he really lost? Because he knows exactly where he is. He chose where he wanted to go, and he appears to be in total control.
He's certainly got money, like enough money to last him. Can we talk about how rich Kevin's parents are?
They're pretty wealthy. They fly first class.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And they've got 300 children, as established. They don't seem to have any trouble looking after them, apart from, giving them good life skills.
They pay for all of their airfare, and they're paying for Uncle Frank.
Well, they went, in the first movie, am I right in thinking they went to Paris for Christmas? Like, they flew the whole family internationally? I don't know. Anyway, I have a problem with that. This movie is such a monument to capitalism.
And what happened in Paris recently? Is there a pattern forming? And what is Kevin's plan? Does he think he's... the book gives an opportunity to get inside this kid's head, but you're kind of going, is he just going to live out the rest of his life here? Until the money runs out? Does he have any plan to eventually contact his parents? And is he not at all scared of the incredible beating he's going to be receiving once they hire Dog the Bounty Hunter to track him down?
Well, that would have been a great finale to this movie. Differentiate a little from the first one. Just have someone hunt him down and kill him. I guess that's kind of what the Sticky Bandits are trying to do, but,
The dad's like, fool me once.
Yeah. This kid is fucked. I have to take him out.
He's not entirely alone. Kevin has found a mate.
20 minutes would be enough time for a soak in the hot tub, with a friend, of course. Kevin pulled out Bongo the Clown from his dad's bag, brought it to the bathroom, and inflated it. The tub was great. The clown was actually fun to play with.
Yes, he's making the most of it.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why they brought the clown in the first place.
Oh, it was in his dad's bag, yeah.
Yeah. What's the dad doing with it?
Dad's like, I'll take that. He wants to spice up his marriage.
I guess so. Got that hot wife, though.
He's like, honey, I feel a little funny. And then you see he's kneading this clown on the end of the bed. I thought this sounded a little promising too.
As the waiter made the sundae, Kevin picked a video out of the cabinet. Angels with even filthier souls.
Ass souls.
It's my type of movie.
And then Kevin scares off the concierge with a cool jerk. He plays the cool jerk song and makes the concierge think that Uncle Frank is in the shower, or his dad is in the shower. I'm getting sick of all these talk boy shenanigans already. The whole first half of this movie is all about using the talk boy. I'm thinking, come on, let's bring on the Home Alone violence.
That's right. That's what we all tuned in for.
Did we get this?
The 3 strings in his hands went slack, the strings that had been attached to the head and arms of Bongo the Clown. So he's marionette-style mocked up this clown as a puppet. Kevin had propped him up in the shower, draped the strings over the top of the shower door, and moved the clown like a marionette. Oh, sorry, it just says it right there.
Whatever floats your boat, kid. Just do not autoerotic asphyxiate yourself while you're here. Maybe that is his endgame.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he probably wouldn't be found for quite a while. They don't talk about when he'll be checking out of this hotel or anything like that. Sorry, plot holes. It doesn't matter. We'll move on.
I'll check out in a body bag with my clown.
That's right.
The whole passage is kind of weird and gross. Like, this whole thing's got this sort of sinister strangeness to it.
Yes.
"Good morning," said the bellman as Kevin yanked the door open. In his right hand, he held out a pair of freshly laundered underpants, pinned to a hanger and covered with plastic. "Your drawers, sir." Kevin snatched them out of his hand. "Hey, don't flash these babies around," Kevin said, glancing up and down the empty hall. "There could be girls on this floor."
And what? Like, they might fall in love at first sight.
They will swoon and risk banging their heads on the walls.
I came here to be home alone. I don't want no girls bothering me.
All up in my drawers.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it really is the first movie all over again. Kevin puts the aftershave on again and screams again. Mm-hmm. I thought this was still really weird. This is a strange conversation straight out of the movie.
"I do hope your father understands that last night I was simply checking the room to make sure everything was in order," the concierge said with a toothy smile. So he was the one who was snooping around the night before, Kevin realized. No wonder the limo was free. The concierge must have felt guilty. "Well, he was pretty mad," Kevin said. "He said he didn't come all the way to New York just to get his naked rear end spied on."
Yeah, you can get plenty of that at home.
That's right.
That's a weird thing going on there with, I don't like it. I don't like what they're doing.
This is the idea that made them realize they could do a sequel. They were like, "Oh, I know what we need. Naked male butts."
Inflatable clowns.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the crooks decide they're going to rob Mr. Duncan's toy store, but look out, Kevin is also at the toy store, and I think he's under the influence.
Kevin felt so high, he thought his feet would leave the ground. "This is the greatest accident of my life," he muttered to himself. Then, wasting no time, he plunged into the action. He grabbed a pair of pistols from a display counter, shoved a helmet on his head, and whooped at the top of his lungs.
That is more like it. This kid is high as a kite. He's grabbing a pair of guns, screaming his head off. Like, that is the American way.
It's a good thing he walked into the combination toy store gun outlet that they have in every major American city.
That's America. We've heard the Walmart stories. And what did Kevin try to buy from the store? What floats his boat this Christmas?
Well, it's a bag of mini robots, a bottle of Monster Sap super slippery bath bubbles, a deluxe stainless steel jackknife, and a Game Gear.
A Game Gear. Now, I didn't even realize the Game Gear was around in 92.
Yeah.
What is the... Now, if people don't know, something joystick, there's a bit of a clue in that title. You guys occasionally accidentally talk about video games.
Yeah, it's a rare thing, but yeah, we started out as a video game podcast, so I know a thing or two about a Game Gear. It's like a Sega branded portable, I guess not a precursor to the Game Boy, but a similar type of thing. But my only real knowledge of it comes from another book of a movie, actually, or a book of a game, I guess. When I was a kid, I owned an extended universe Sonic the Hedgehog novel, in which Sonic himself has a Game Gear, which defies all sorts of, any rationalization. What games does he play on that?
Would Sonic have been the main one, the selling point for the Game Gear?
Yeah. I think they had ports of all of the big Sonic games on there and that sort of thing. I'd say that'd probably be the biggest mover.
Kevin pulled out his dad's cash envelope out of his pocket. He took out two $20 bills and handed them to the man. "Oh my," the man said. "Where did you get all that money?" $40 was a lot of money in the 90s. You could barely buy a Star Wars figure for that now. And then, how cheap was this Game Gear then, if he bought that for $40 plus all this other shit?
Yeah, I think this Kevin's dad is loaded, like we talked about before. He just wouldn't even notice.
Do you think they might have been $2,000 bills?
It could have been, yeah. They might have been disguised in some way as $20. Maybe Kevin can't read numbers too well. He's only 10 years old.
Well, old man Duncan is pretty old.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got both ends of the spectrum here in this transaction.
Youth and beauty.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of which...
Well, Mr. Duncan loves kids. As a matter of fact, all the money the store takes in today, he donates to the Children's Hospital. Isn't that convenient timing?
Specifically to the ward full of kids that he loved too hard.
Oh, no. I am glad they're donating to Children's Hospital, though. That's a show that deserves a 7th season.
the Kickstarter happening.
Yeah.
And the shop guy, Big Heart, lets him take 2 turtle doves for free from the Christmas tree. And he says, give one to someone who means something to you. So looks like Christmas has come early for Bongo the Clown.
That's right. They're finally making it a legitimate partnership, a union for all of time, bonded by turtle doves.
And Marv the crook, you forgot about those guys, they are still in the film, accidentally molests the same woman he molested yesterday. So New York City is like full of millions of people, except we are suddenly about to entertain a lot of accidental, coincidental meetings. The first of which happens right now when the crooks spot Kevin.
Kevin couldn't hold back a scream. He tore off down the street. Startled pedestrians turned to look. Harry and Marv laughed pleasantly, trying to look like 2 uncles whose nephew was being mischievous. That's just colourfully written. I like that.
The old uncle shtick.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. The naive view of New York City, like even if they were, even if they made no attempt to cover themselves up, like the people of New York City would really do anything.
I mean, look, they see Ninja Turtles all the time. They don't blink an eyelid.
That's right. The fucking aliens came down and attacked them in the Avengers, and they only mention it in passing.
Chase time. The crooks chase Kevin. He goes to the hotel. The concierge chases him because he's figured out the credit card was stolen. Lots of dodging guests and traveling up elevators. This is basically what happens in the Home Alone 2 video game. It's just you running up and down the corridors, dodging people, dodging suitcases, riding elevators. This is it. It's
funny that it takes them until the credit card stops working for them to investigate what's going on with this small boy.
Well, they tried, but
it's
all they
until
got
the
was
money dries up. Yeah,
a clown in the shower.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Kevin packs up his stuff and he stalls the concierge with the old play the audio of the video trick, and also sort of stalls him with some mild homophobia. You were smooching with my brother. Whoops. You must be mistaken, sir, came the concierge's shocked response. Don't give me that. You've been smooching with every guy in town. Snuffy, Al, Leo, Little Mo with the gimpy leg, Cheeks, Bony Bob. I loved his episode of Ding Dang Dong. Cliff, I could go on forever, baby.
So this movie, Angels with Even Filthier Souls, it's a sequel to the movie that Kevin uses in the first movie. It's the same one with the Merry Christmas, you filthy animal dialogue in it. But that to me raises a lot of questions. Like, this movie was successful enough in the Home Alone universe for them to make a sequel, which even features a lot of the same dialogue. But is the scene that Kevin uses a famous scene in that case? Like, would the trick work if it was instantly recognizable like that? Would you flip out if you and like duck and cover and stuff like that if you ever heard like a say hello to my little friend or something like that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we've established that the hotel room has a small collection of videotapes. They have purchased these tapes. One of the tapes they chose to purchase was Angels with Even Filthier Souls.
Yeah, they must be at least passingly familiar. Like, one of them must be, you'd think.
Someone's got to have seen it.
I hope somebody lost their job for that blunder.
I hope so too. Kevin escapes. He runs right into the arms of the crooks, who tear up his ticket home and promise to make good on their threat to kill him. Except they tell him their whole plan, the dummies, which he records on the Talkboy.
Yep. Just cartoon bad guy nonsense.
And how does Kevin escape from their clutches?
Directly in front of him was a gorgeous young woman, a model, he figured. An idea flashed through his head. It was crazy. It was a little bit rude. He had no right to do it, but it might work. He reached out and gave the woman a pinch.
If you're gonna die anyway, die doing what you love. This was Kevin's last wish. Mm-hmm. And it turns out to be the exact same woman.
Weird. How is she everywhere? But Kevin's like, once the woman punches out these two, the bandits, and they're like lying in a heap on the floor, Kevin's just like, thanks to this woman who asks no follow-up questions at all. Like, why did you want me to punch these two men that you were standing with? What's going on in your life? Like, just nothing.
Do you need help? Where are your parents?
Yeah, exactly. I'll also point out that there are probably like 4 women in this movie, and this is one of them. She's just kind of like eye candy for a half second, then gets sexually harassed. I guess that's like a New York City type of experience, maybe.
She's hand candy.
Yeah.
Now,
Kevin.
though, Kevin is finally lost in New York, and it's getting dark. He is truly alone, and we get the photo section, which, look, I can't show you over Skype, and it is falling apart. All the photos are falling out, but they are very disappointing. Just a lot of indistinct shots of Kevin standing around. None of the murderous violence or hideous injuries that the series is famous for, unfortunately.
That is a shame.
Very bland. But Kevin goes to his Uncle Rob's house. Now, Rob is in Paris, and the house is currently being renovated. So basically, it's the perfect death trap for a last stand, including these features.
The scaffold was on the first floor, hanging from the roof by thick ropes. A metal chute slanted down from a third-floor window to a dumpster on the street. A ladder rested against a hole in the ceiling, and plaster and wires hung all over.
There's no regard for safety in this book. There's no way they're trying to teach children anything about being responsible.
No, they're just like, hey, how good are exposed wires for...
Yeah, hey kids, look at that. Have some fun with them. Who can you shock?
Exactly.
Everybody.
Got anyone annoying you for any reason? Are they criminals? In your judgment, why not seek revenge?
That's a good point. Who does Kevin think he is? Judge Dredd?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I'm smelling a reboot.
Kevin goes back onto the street for now, and it's here where New York shows its true colours. Boy, it's scary out there, Kevin said. The cab driver turned around slowly. Below his uneven crew cut, his face was scarred and bruised. One of his eyes seemed dead, and he looked like he hadn't shaved in weeks. He smiled at Kevin, revealing a mouthful of rotted teeth. "Ain't much better in here," he growled. And chillingly, that's where the book ends.
That's right, and thanks for tuning in. Fantastic to speak with you again, Luke.
Sounds like an Uber ride, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the book cuts out the prostitutes, though, that hit on him in this sequence.
Yeah, it's a shame. John Hughes gives us this illuminating insight into the life of a sex worker. We were all wondering if you had any opinions on the topic, but yeah, it's not suitable for the book, I guess.
I think it would have been a great opportunity for the third act to go a bit Catcher in the Rye. There's Kevin in a hotel room with a prostitute chatting about life.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly it's a coming-of-age story.
Yes, a Romans-Bildung.
That's right, yeah.
Kevin eats Doritos for dinner. Total proud American. And then...
That's right. He realized there was something beneath the pigeon, pushing it upward. Hair, a forehead. Slowly, a familiar face appeared. The grizzled, grimy face of the pigeon lady.
Huge city, 5 inhabitants, and the whole thing.
And now they just pop up as well. They don't even have to bump into each other. They just are hiding places and then appear.
And just slide into shot. These guys, they have a coffee, they catch a show. She convinces him that to erase his bad deed, which I guess was credit card fraud, he must now do a good deed, which I suppose is recklessly endangering himself by thwarting the toy store heist and injuring the goons again. So even our magical noble pigeon lady is a completely irresponsible adult.
Yes, that's right, and he's up to his old tricks again.
So he goes back to his uncle's death trap.
Operation Ho Ho Ho, he scribbled on the wall. The perfect name. And I'll say that's another 3 more well-developed female characters for this movie too. So
they did make it into the book.
Riding furiously in the street lamp light, he mapped out a battle plan. He committed it to memory and sprang into action.
Here we go. Bring on the violence. And yes, he starts making all these elaborate traps like he's a grizzled Vietnam vet. He's got electrical tape, kerosene, staple gun, all thrown into the mix. All things that...
It's like Fallout 4.
And he catches the crooks in the act, takes photographs of them, and leads them back to the death trap. And here are some of the highlights of the mayhem that ensues.
That was just what Kevin did. He dropped the brick over the side. Harry smiled. Beside him, Marv happily picked at his teeth. Bonk! The brick bounced off Marv's head. Marv slumped to the sidewalk.
So that's one dead criminal down.
Yep.
But no, it does continue. Marv gets his hat stapled to his head. Harry gets metal wrenches that rain down on his head. Harry gets his head blowtorched then, and then this happens.
He tried to pat the fire out with his hands, but it was too hot. Then he saw the toilet. It was filled with nice, cool, clear water. For some reason, that sounds so appetizing.
I know.
Harry dunked his head in. Boom! It may have looked like water, but it exploded like kerosene.
Do try this at home, kids. What a great prank for everybody.
Definitely.
Marv gets all his facial hair torn off. And then, after pages and pages of horrendous torture, the crooks finally catch Kevin, but he is saved by...
The figure stepped out of the shadows. Her clothes were rags, her face craggy and covered with filth. I guess that means bird shit. But her
Yes.
eyes burned with fierce determination.
It is the heroic pigeon lady who defeats them with her mysterious pigeon powers. Yes, which means she basically shits all over them.
Uh-huh.
And the cops arrive. Kevin hides, and the crooks are taken away.
The officer pushed Marv in too. He slammed the door, leaving the two crooks in their piles of goop.
Well, I guess, it was a pretty nerve-wracking experience. I don't think we should blame them for that.
Sure, yeah. It was pretty exciting as well, if you know what I mean.
So Kevin is home alone. He heads off to the giant Christmas tree. That's the thing. He's not home alone. He's in New York alone.
Yeah, he's at
New
someone
York's
else's
not his home
as well.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody's home, yes. Kevin heads off. Do you think it's too late to get our money back? I saw this in the cinema in 92.
Yeah, I'm sure I paid for this at some point.
You're paying for it now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Kevin heads off to the giant Christmas tree, where it just so happens...
Kevin turned around. The talking to the tree must have done something to him. Now he was having visions. At the end of the block was an apparition of his mother. She was smiling from ear to ear, and Kevin felt a tug of happiness.
She could give me a tug of happiness.
There's a great sequence here where the mother is asking a police officer for help, and the cop suggests that she just think about where he might have gone. Because usually when a 10-year-old kid is reported missing, police respond like they're just wandering around somewhere having fun in a candy store or something like that.
Why don't you spend the next 3 weeks retracing his steps from Chicago to Miami to New York? Just wander around.
The dad is conspicuously absent from this scene as well. I'm guessing he's back at the hotel room having found the clown again.
And look, Kevin is totally forgiven for his costly crimes, and on Christmas morning it turns out Duncan has given his family a whole bunch of toys as a thank you, which is probably worth more than the crooks could have ever stolen from him.
Yeah, well, the crooks are talking about how they don't even want to steal stuff. Like, they just want cash. That's why they rob a hotel. That's how they got caught up in this in the first place. So it couldn't have been that much. No,
it's probably like $300 in the till.
Yeah.
But look, we know for America, most people pay with checks.
That's right, yes, to the Piggly Wiggly.
They don't use cash monies. He thought $40 was a lot of money.
Yeah. He's never seen money before.
Yeah, so the till had like about $13 in it, and he's just given away $1,000 worth of merchandise.
It's all in pennies too.
To the 300 family members of the McAllister clan. Look, Kevin's got one last thing to do. He races off to the pigeon lady to give her a turtle dove, and that's not a euphemism. And this is the ending.
Kevin held up his turtle dove. I have one. You have one. As long as we each have a turtle dove, we're friends forever. The pigeon lady smiled. Kevin thought he could see a tear forming in one of her eyes. Thank you, she said. Kevin put his turtle dove back into his pocket. It was time to go before his mum and dad panicked again. Or left without him again, I guess.
Yeah, like he's already run off by himself. Fucking hell.
Dude, stop
Get
it.
him a leash.
Yeah. He threw his arms around the pigeon lady. She returned his embrace. I won't forget you, Kevin said as they released each other. Trust me. A sudden commotion made them both turn around. The entire flock of pigeons was soaring into the sky. They spiraled upward, dripping and gliding high over the city. Below them, no one seemed to notice. No one except Kevin and his new friend. In their own ways, they were soaring too. 420,
blaze it up, Kevin. High as a kite, just wandering around.
We made friends with Broad City earlier. This, it's going to happen.
Yes, that's the problem. Right there, you've got it. So that was Home Alone 2. Can you believe it?
That's
a wonderful sequel. And I have to ask you, because I ask this all the time, was the book better?
Welcome back to the Book Was podcast. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me like the book is a pretty straight adaptation. There's not a whole lot of extra color added to it or anything like that. But yeah, the author is up against like John Hughes, Christopher Columbus, John Williams really phoning in his score, but, these are people who know how to create an atmosphere in a movie. So, and you got Rob Schneider and Tim Curry and Donald Trump. I'd say give the movie a watch. I think the book probably really, really great at the time, but for all the nostalgia, I'd go with the movie. So the book's not better, Luke.
You bet your ding dang dong I prefer the movie, even just for that shot of Tim Curry juxtaposed against the Grinch.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's my favorite part of the whole film. So yeah, got to be the film. I love just the music. I love the Home Alone theme actually.
Yeah.
So always listen to that at Christmas. And as we said, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's December 1st. It's not just World AIDS Day. It's the beginning of the season.
Yes, that's right. And it only gets better from here.
That is true. So, and going forward, there is a couple more Christmas episodes. So, brace yourselves for that. But I just want to read an Amazon review. Now, unfortunately, there was only one. It's quite brief. 5 stars by Brian. And he says, great.
Well, pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
He loved it. Yeah,
if only the movie If only the movie and the book were as succinct. The movie's like bang on 2 hours. It's too long. But yeah, if I just read the word great and somehow knew the plot of Home Alone 2, I'd probably be even happier.
I agree. Brevity is the soul of wit. So with that in mind, I think we're going to bail out of here too.
Sure.
Do go to fruitlesspursuits.com and you can find all the other episodes there. You can find links to our Facebook discussion, links to our Patreon, and next week is more Christmas programming as we go up to the big novelization challenge at the end, just before Christmas. I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you so much, Xavier. Please plug all your stuff and things.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Luke. It's always a pleasure. It's been too long.
It has been.
Yeah. Well, if people want to, they can listen to my podcast. It is mostly about nothing, but sometimes about something. And that's why we call it Something Something Joystick. You can find it on the web by Googling it. So do that. And I don't know what else to plug. No one needs to know about most of the nothingy stuff I've got going on. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at XavierRN. And that's a good time, and I've just unplugged my headphones somehow. So I bet you're trying to talk, and I just don't even know. I could keep talking on my own as long as Oh, I'm back. Okay, hi.
I didn't say anything.
Okay,
I
great.
swear to God.
Well,
no, you hear back and you listen, and you'll go, he was a good dude. He just let it ride.
I'll listen back and go, boy, I bet people were thinking about clicking on some of those links he was mentioning up until that blunder.
In the new year as well, hoping to not just get you back, but get you back with one Mr. Tom as well. Not
That's
Mr.
right.
Tom from that movie.
Mr. Tomness or whatever it is from
Yeah, not
Lion,
Mr.
the Witch, and the
Thomas
Wardrobe.
with his fuzzy pants. I won't have that on my show.
Yeah, so Tom Sanderson, my co-host on Something Something Joystick.
Love to get Tommy back. Yeah,
Yes.
on, Tommy, get back on the show, you
come on,
bastard.
Tommy.
Come on, Tommy, do it for them. Do it for listeners, eh? You mongrel.
Yeah, but jump on the Book Was Better discussion page on Facebook because I hang out there sometimes and we can talk about this crazy movie if you want.
There's crazy stuff. Lots of stuff to talk about. Now, my audio track always seems to go weird after about an hour, and I'm looking at the wave and I'm wondering if it's doing it. So let's bail out of here.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas,
Thanks
all.
so much, Xavier. And do you want to say the thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you've given me the responsibility of saying the thing, and now I'm allowed to stall for as long as I want.
You're like, what's the thing again?
I could do some more plugs. Luke, I'm so pleased to say this. I will catch you on the flips.
Jingle Margie.